Right, well, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. We're obviously clearly treating this situation seriously for our region. And I'm joined today by Superintendent of Police, Doug McDonald, and Director for SES, Acting Director for SES, Tony Cooper. So thank you, Doug. Thank you, Tony, for both being here today. And this is to show that we have a united effort in making sure we're doing all we can as a region to keep everyone safe. What I want to make clear from the outset is that what we're seeing in Brisbane and along the coast areas is quite different to what is predicted to be seen here in our Toowoomba region. And to that point, on behalf of our region, I want to extend our best wishes to the local government areas across the coastal fronts in the southeast and of course to Brisbane as well, making sure that they're also safe through what is an extraordinary event that's about to unfold, Tropical Cyclone ALFRED. This is something that we are very mindful of and something that we all as a community need to be prepared for. That said, it may well be quite different. The modelling suggests that we may have a one-day delay from what we see when it crosses the coast, anticipated to be late Thursday or even early Friday morning. So we have an advantage of time. We have an advantage to be able to see what unfolds and then the modelling that comes our way. That doesn't mean to say we can't be prepared, and since last weekend, we've certainly been doing that with agencies. We've been meeting with the Premier and other mayors and agencies since Sunday morning to make sure we're well prepared, making sure that our reservoirs are full, making sure that we have sand piles available for people to go and fill sandbags to. If they've been in low-lying areas and received flooding, making sure that they have that ability to go and do that. And that information is available on the disaster dashboard. We're making sure we're doing all we can to ensure the safety of residents in our region. Now, at this point, it's up to all of us and you as an individual, whether it's your household or business, to make sure you're doing all you can to be safe as well. And there's some practical measures, and we've heard it before around flooding. The difference here is that we could well see some stronger wind surges as well. So we need to make sure that in your own household or business that things outside are tied down if you have the capacity to do that. And we've all seen images of trampolines and wheelie bins floating in the air. That's the things we can do right now to avoid. Making sure things that are tied down, debris is removed, wheelie bins are put away. They're practical things. Making sure that you have battery in your phone, making sure the batteries are charged. Ensure that you have fuel in your car if required. It may also be a good idea to go to an ATM over the next 24 hours or so and make sure you've got some small amount of cash, just in case we do have a power outage at an outlet that you are shopping at, whether it's fuel or groceries, whatever that may be, and they don't have the capacity to do that. So they're practical things that we know and we do. Making sure that you've got your emergency kit ready to go and valuables where they are. That's all important and all things that we can do. There's a few things though that I need to make quite clear and things that have unfolded over the last few hours. The first of which is a directive from the Premier around the closures of schools in the Toowoomba region. And that takes effect tomorrow, so it's Thursday and Friday. All schools will be closed and until further notice. At this stage, it's Thursday and Friday. That's a directive from the Premier. From a council perspective, Friday's collection of curbside rubbish will not occur. So this Friday, to make it quite clear, if you're used to putting your wheelie bin out of a Friday for collection, whether that's general waste, green or recycle, that will not occur on Friday. So make that quite clear. Our waste transfer facilities will also not be open on Friday. However, they're open today and they're open Thursday. So if you feel compelled to take rubbish, and we talked about debris and perhaps some limbs of trees that might need to be removed, and here's probably your chance to do that over the next 24 hours or so. Here's your chance to do that. And you can take that to our rubbish facilities up till the close of business on Thursday. That's really important. And of course, it's free as well for residents. If you're in a commercial property, let's make sure that you also are vigilant. If there's things outside, whether it's a building site, make sure it's secure. All little practical things that we can do. So important information. School closures Thursday, Friday. Waste collection will not occur on curbside on Thursday, and our waste transfers will not be open on Friday. So Friday for waste collection curbside will not happen. Waste transfers will be closed on Friday. The other community venues will also be closed on Friday. And I talk of community halls, swimming pools, libraries, art galleries, customer service centres and alike. They will be closed. Our 131872 number in our call centre will remain open the whole time. You can still call the customer service centre. There's two numbers that are critical. The first one is around if there's an emergency or there is danger of life, 000. A life-threatening situation, 000. If it's around assistance with flooding, storms, SES. SES is the call. 132 500. 132 500 for SES if you need assistance in and around the storms. They're the key messages today. We've been through similar situations. We have a 1 day, in the current modelling, we have around a 1 day time frame to see what unfolds in the southeast. Let's use that to our advantage. Let's prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And as a community, as we see here, police, SES, all of our emergency services, we're all working together to make sure you're safe. Now it's time for you as an individual to do exactly the same. And as a community, we can work through this. We've done it in the past, we can do it again. Once the storm goes through, the wind's finished, the storm finishes, then it's the chance for us to start that recovery phase. Now that may include a number of things, including tree removal off roads. It could mean our parks need to be cleared, roadways cleared, whatever that may be. But I can give assurance to our community that our council stands ready with our agencies to do that. So we're already looking at what that may be. So I want to give everyone that assurity. The preparation is well underway for council. We're at the phase now of watch and see. Let's see what happens. But from an individual, critically important, now's your time. Now's your time to do your bit. So very happy to take some questions. I've finished where I start. What we're experiencing here and what we're predicted to experience is quite different to what we're seeing in Brisbane and the coastal areas. Quite different. There'll be around about a 1 day lag time under current predictions as to what that may look like here. We need to use that time frame as a benefit for us for our situation. So let's prepare and prepare well.
There's been some reports that people are taking more than their fair share of sandbags. What is in place to mitigate that and make sure that everyone can get what they need?
That's a good question, Tom. Thank you for the question, and it's a very important one. So for those who have experienced flooding in the past and know that sandbags can assist that, and now's the time to think about that as well. So we have sand piles strategically placed across the region, and I'll just run through those quickly. The Toowoomba Showgrounds at Glenvale Road in Glenvale, John Darien at Duke Street near the steam train, Gumbunji in front of the SES, 33 to 35 Cook Street, Pittsworth at Railway Street in front of the SES, the Pittsworth Showgrounds, Crow's Nest at Timber Street Crow's Nest, which is next to the SES, Wairima, Newman Road, Wairima on the road reserve between Newman Road and Toowoomba Carrara Road, and in Cambodia at Lucy Street Park next to the tennis courts. It's important to note at this stage that historically we would have sand piles at Oakey. Now under the current regime with the Queensland Government around fire ants, we can't do that. We just cannot do that at the moment. So there'll be no sand piles in Oakey. Those other locations will be there and available. Important also to note, as has been historical practice, that this is a self-help situation in regard to sandbagging. So you purchase your sandbags from a hardware store or an outlet, take a shovel along and go along and fill your bags. On the disaster website, disaster.qld.gov.au, or on our council disaster dashboard, there's information not only where those stockpiles are, but also how to fill the sandbags, which is important as well. So this is about our community helping each other. We need to be responsible, and I stress again, this isn't the situation that we're seeing along the coast. This is not the same situation. We need to be vigilant, we need to be prepared. If you've been in flooded areas, most certainly take the precautionary measures that you've done in the past. But let's also be respectful of each other, help each other where we can. We're a community that does that well. Here's another great chance to do it again.
Can you run us through how it's going to be different in the Toowoomba region to down on the coast?
The modelling at this stage suggests that the cyclone, tropical cyclone, will cross the coast either late Thursday or early Friday morning. And the complexity there is that there's also a high tide around the same time between 1 and 2 a.m. on Friday morning. And that's the real concern from agencies, the Bureau of Meteorology, state government, and certainly the Premier. That's the biggest change, is that will be Thursday evening, Friday morning. Then there's around about, under current modelling, a day in which we'll see the effects coming into our region, and particularly just to our east in the Lockyer Valley, Gatton and further to the east. So we'll have the advantage of seeing that and seeing what unfolds. So when it gets to us, there is every chance that it will form more of a low than cyclonic conditions. However, we need to be prepared for the worst. It may mean heavy rainfalls between, and this is the range that's been talked about, 30 millimetres to 200 millimetres. It's a massive range. Wind conditions that could be between 90 and 130 kilometre winds. And this is why it's for us, we have the advantage of seeing what will unfold. And I'll certainly be available to do updates with media in the next 24 hours if things change significantly. But it looks likely to us that the end of Friday and into the weekend is when we'll see the most of the effects. The wind will start to pick up. Certainly late tomorrow evening we'll feel that. The rainfall will ultimately start to fall. But we'll need to be obviously mindful of what's happening to our east. That's our advantage, that we do at this stage under modelling get that time.
Are you confident council's infrastructure can hold up to sustain heavy rainfall over a number of days?
Based on the modelling that we've seen, our teams have no real concerns. And that's because of the work we've been doing. Not only the preparation over the last week, but also the recovery phase and the rebuild after the 2011 floods, where we saw $300 million spent around flood mitigation. So all of those things have helped to get us into a situation where we feel confident we can handle what's being predicted to come our way.
Are there any safe evacuation sites for a worst case scenario?
We already have, through our local disaster management team and our disaster officer, made contact with our evacuation centres. They'll also be on our disaster dashboard as to where they are. They will not be stood up until that is known and until we see a real need for that. The message is quite clear. The Premier's been strong on this message. Unless you're in an identified tidal surge area or flooded area, the best place for you to be is in your own home. And that includes all of the Toowoomba region right now. That includes all of the Toowoomba region. Staying at home, that's the best place. So we'll heed that advice. If that changes over the next 24 or 36 hours, then we'll go to the next phase. But at this stage, we've made contact with all our evacuation centres, making sure that they are available and able to be used. So that's well and truly in place. I guess, like any weather event, the message is clear. If you don't have to go out of your home and venture out to something, don't do it. Stay home when that weather starts to turn up. Friday evening, Saturday and potentially Sunday. If it's not essential, then stay home. That's why it's important to start preparing now, making sure you've got supplies, making sure you've got all those things that you would normally do to prepare for a couple of days of perhaps being being in the house.
Is there somewhere where people who don't have a home at the moment in Toowoomba can go to?
A very important point, and this has been a topic of discussion, particularly around the coastal areas around homelessness. That's been a point that has been well made by the housing minister, Sam O'Connor. And just as an example of this, it was only yesterday in a meeting that the statement was made that there is housing available to assist all of those that need housing across the coast at the moment. There's housing available, being made available to make sure they can go into places. The challenge they're finding is that, and the snapshot that was used was 100 homeless people living rough, were made contact in person by agencies, offered a place to stay, and only 4 of those 100 took up that offer. Now, with the weather starting to change, that may well change as well. So I guess from an agency perspective in our region, and certainly council officers that are up early in the morning, making sure streets are clean, making sure our parks are clean, they see the homelessness as well. And so they are also vigilant to make sure that the department is well aware of where these people are. At the end of the day, we want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to be safe. So if you see someone who is struggling, please reach out to them. And I guess that's the other message here. There's a lot of people in our region, know people that are in those coastal areas, that are in Brisbane, who will be affected. They will definitely be affected. It's a good time to reach out to them. Make sure they've seen the media. Make sure that they're well prepared. And in doing so, in our own local area, let's look out for each other. Have a chat to the neighbour across the fence. Make sure they're well aware of it as well. Maybe they need a hand to shift some rubbish or debris around their house. This is a real chance for us to do what we do well, and that's come together as a community.